Good day everyone, welcome to this channel. My name is Mariette, also known as the Boervrou. I'm very glad that you are here joining me. This will be predominantly a crafting podcast where I will be sharing with you my knitting, crochet and sewing crafts. I will also be sharing with you all of the things that I learn from these projects that I make. Okay, so let's begin. Today is the 2nd of January 2022. I'm coming to you from South Africa. I've got some notes here. I'll just quickly share a small little bit about myself. I've been sewing since I was 5 years old. I've crocheted for many years. I've learned to knit before I learned to crochet, but the knitting didn't really take, it was very hard, and crochet was much easier for me, and I've been crocheting all the time, lots of things. I've actually started making socks from a Afrikaans book in 2020, and I actually counted just before I started filming. I've actually made 17 pairs of fingering weight socks, 4 pairs of chunky socks, and 1 pair of DK socks. So yeah, that's quite a lot of knitting. You can also find me on my project pages on Ravelry. I'll put a link down below of all the places where you can find me and where you can find these projects to have a look at what they look like. Okay. Let me just have a sip of coffee first. Good. Alright. So next on my list here is, what am I wearing? Okay, so this is the Larimar Tee. I'll try and see if I can maybe put a picture in here of it. This project was made for the fall garment make along presented by Natty Natty. I've got a little picture here as well, pattern picture of the pattern. It's a very, doesn't seem to be focusing perfectly, but anyway, in the pattern it actually calls for 60% cotton and 40% acrylic yarn. I didn't use the yarn in this in the pattern. Okay, so for this top I used a South African hand-dyed yarn, which is Moya Shimmer, 50% bamboo, 50% cotton. I used 2 colorways. I've used the Twinkle, just a little bit closer, which is a beautiful speckled color, and this pink that is called Ophelia. I was a little bit worried about the construction of this seam here, but I think it came out very, very nice, looking very, very nice. I did do 2 modifications. I'm touching this all the time. I did do 2 modifications. I added some length to the top, and I added extra rows to the arm trim. I think it just called for like 2 or 3 rows and it looked a bit skimpy, so I added a little more extra rows. The pattern calls for you knit the 2 pieces flat, and then the pattern calls for seaming it on the sides that was quite hard for me. I think it was like half a stitch seam allowance, so I had to research that first, and then I seamed it together. But I did in the meantime here on Nitty Natty's channel. Natalie said that to make it easier to sew things together, you can loosen up the stitches on the end by adding a yarn over but not knitting into it and just dropping it on the next row. So if I make this top again, I'll definitely try that and see if that doesn't make the sewing a bit easier. It doesn't look bad, but the stitches looks a little bit, the gauge isn't the same as the rest, but it's not super obvious. I'm sure somebody that doesn't knit won't even see it. I just see it because we are all a little bit perfectionist about the things we do, I guess. Okay. Alright, so let's do some finished objects of things that I've recently finished. Okay. When I started knitting socks, actually before I started knitting socks, while I was crocheting and working with yarn cakes, I got very frustrated with it rolling around and going everywhere. So I designed a yarn cozy for my knitting. This is my yarn cozy. This is designed with Moya 100% cotton decay. 100% double knit cotton, and this is in the colorway Tanzanite. Now this yarn cozy takes a 50-gram ball of yarn. So this is almost a full ball, more yarn cake, and it fits very nicely in there, and then you can work from the center pool of the ball like that. What I also like about these cozies is that they fit 50-gram yarn cakes of sock yarn. And if you have two of these in a each in its own cozy in a project bag, they stay quite snug. Let me show you. I do have two here. I have two here with each having 50 grams of sock yarn in them, and I like to add them into my little project bag that I've made. And then I add them in here. I actually designed this little bag for making socks. See, I'm obsessed with socks. Okay, so let me just squish them in here. So now, with these cozies, they fit nicely next to each other inside this bag, and then you can work from the centers of the cakes, and you can even make 2 at a time socks, which I love. I'm obsessed with socks. Okay, so that is the yarn cozies. I'm actually working on the bigger friend of the yarn cozy, which will be big enough to fit a 100-gram yarn cake. These are just made up with some acrylic yarns. So I'm working on the pattern and trying to make it with 100% cotton yarn and just seeing how they work up, but I'll keep you posted on that. Okay, anything else I wanted to say about the yarn cozy? The small yarn cozies use about 25 grams of yarn, and I make them with a 4mm hook. Right, next up is socks. I wanted to show you my first ever pair of socks knitted with indie dyed yarn. I've been knitting socks, as I said, since 2020, I think May 2020, and maybe I should just show you this collection of socks. That is quite a lot of socks, and that is not all of them. Okay, let me just put this back. Right, so this is my socks that I've knitted with the first ever indie dyed yarn that I bought. I bought this in a sock set from Naughty Habit. She had a pop-up shop in November at Little Yarn Croft in Little Falls or Weltevreden Park. That's the place. She had a little pop-up shop at Little Yarn Croft, and I bought this sock set. It is 75%. It is 3-ply fingering weight, 75% merino, 25% nylon, and it is 366 meters on 100 grams of yarn, and the colorways is CAQ. Okay. So this is the socks that I made from the sock set that I bought from Naughty Habit. I made these socks 2 at a time on magic loop on 2.5mm needles. I actually used the sock recipe that I've made for myself over this last 16-17 pairs of socks, and I've actually reversed engineered it to start at the toe. Because I was using a mini, I wanted to make sure that I've got enough yarn for both toes and both heel flap and gussets, no, heel flaps and heel turns, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to add it to the cuff. I could have, but I've decided not to. I like this colorway so much that I wanted this to be peeking out at the top of my shoes and not that. But this was very fun. It was the first ever pair of socks that I made in fingering weight yarn with contrasting toe and heel. And as I said, I worked them from the toe up, and I used, I made a heel flap and a heel turn with a gusset, and I think it looks very nice. To me, it looks neat enough, and it looks like a heel flap and heel turn and gusset from cuff down socks. But anyway, so this is my Naughty Habit socks. Is there anything else that I wanted to say about this? No, that's it. Good. Let me put this away. Alright, so that is something else that I've finished. Then I've got 2 more finished objects that I want to show you. So this is a water bottle cover that I knitted. And it still needs buttons, made little buttonholes, but I'm calling this finished. So this is made with 100% acrylic yarn. I do have a lot of acrylic yarns. But this is very old yarn, I think. I got this from a friend. They were looking after a lady and her husband, which was passed away, I don't know, quite a few years ago, and when they packed up the stuff, she asked me if I would like the wools, and of course I said yes. And she gave me this quite a bit of this Mirage yarns. I've never seen this label, so I think it might be quite old. There's still Afrikaans writing on it as well. Oh, that's it. So I'm sure that it's not recent wool. Anyway, so it's 100% acrylic yarn. It's not really much that I can say about it. It does have a beautiful range of colors in it. I've never actually seen acrylic yarn with this different depths of color. I mean, it's got yellows and blues and all kinds of colors in here. It's really beautiful, but unfortunately it's 100% yarn, 100% acrylic yarn. So something I wanted also to mention about this is I actually looked up a pattern in an Afrikaans book, and I tried. It was actually knitted flat, 2 pieces flat, and obviously I don't like sewing things together, so I adapted it to be worked in the round on magic loop. And then I decided not to do the extensive ribbing. The whole thing was ribbing in this pattern, and I tried it, and the stitches was all off because the pattern was written for 100% wool yarn. And so I ripped it out and I adapted it and started again, and I did just a normal long tail cast on here at the bottom, and then I made a few buttonholes to close it up with some buttons, and then I worked in stocking stitch all the way to the top, where I decreased and did that little ribbing. So one thing that I also did is I wanted to try joining my yarn when it ended, the ball ended. No, there was a cut in the ball, a knot in the ball. So I cut it out and I tried the Russian join method. My friend just made a video on that joining method. YouTube channel is Independence Crochet. I'll link the video down below, and you can have a look if you've never seen the Russian join before. She actually told me about it. What I can say is that in crochet it doesn't seem that obvious, because there is a little bit of a thickness when you do the Russian join. But in this knitting, I can clearly see that the stitches here looks a bit funny. They're definitely more pronounced and thicker. So in the future, I would rather knit over my ends as I usually do. This was just to see if it can work for knitting as well. But I don't really like that much. But I think for crochet that is fine. For my knitting, like these types of things where you gonna see it, that for this type of thing where you will see it this obviously, I would rather just knit over the ends instead of doing a specific join. So I just wanted to mention that. Right. Okay, what else did I want to say about this? I knit the warm water bottle cover with 4.5 millimeter needles, and I used about 53 grams of yarn for that project. I'll see how it goes. Maybe I'll write up a pattern for it. Maybe I'll do it in some cotton yarn and see how that goes. Okay, so the last finished object that I wanted to show you, that I'm very proud of, is this cowl. So this is an adaptation of the Chromatic cowl by Amy Detjen. not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly. This is the cowl. You actually started here at the bottom with just a little stocking stitch, um, a few rows, and then you start the brioche pattern with the two colors, and then the pattern actually has you stopping at with this method at the top as well. The reason I unraveled the top and redid it with this I-cord that I can cinch in is that when I wear this cowl around my neck, it keeps doing that, and then this part of my neck is open where I actually want the warmth. So I ripped out the top part, and I've actually knitted an extra piece of fabric, and I didn't knit it down. I actually stitched the live stitches onto the work to form this pocket where I added this I-cord to. I was actually sitting with this cowl on a Zoom call of our knit night one evening. It is hosted by Naughty Habit, and I was asking the ladies what suggestions they would have for me with this brioche cowl to get it to cinch in. And one of our members on the Zoom call, Adela from the Yarn Creations podcast, suggested this method to me, and she actually went so far to look for something and send it to me to what she was referring to, and then I could do this. So thank you very much, Adela. I really appreciate your help with this project. Now at last I can wear it when it gets colder, because it's very hot in summer here in South Africa. So for this I also used 100% acrylic yarn. I used a yarn called Yarn Art, the door. It is made in Turkey, and it is 100% anti-pilling acrylic yarn, and it has, where is that saying? Oh, here. And it has 280 meters per 100 grams. So as you can see, I love knitting and crocheting, but I also do Tunisian crochet. So I actually, when I was visiting Little Yarn Craft with the pop-up shop of Naughty Habit, I was attending a workshop hosted by Sonja van Wyk, who is Designs by Sophia on Instagram. She actually hosted a Tunisian make your own top down sweater in Tunisian crochet. So I was at this class, and in this class she actually learned us how to measure your body and how to work out how many stitches you would need by making a swatch and all of those nice things. So this is what I have so far for my top down sweater. I'm using um, I'm using Ali Premier 4-ply natural cotton. It is 100% combed mercerized cotton. Not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Which is approximately 125 meters per 50 grams. I do think that this yarn is discontinued very recently. I think they brought out some other cotton yarn which is not mercerized, but yeah. So I've quite a lot of this, and I decided to make a nice colorful sweater. And then I also learned with this class how to Tunisian crochet Tunisian crochet in the round, and then joining at the back. So I do have a little bit of a jog, but it's not really that bad to me. On camera you can actually see it a little bit more pronounced than in real life, but anyway. So I decided to make my sweater with the honeycomb stitch, which is one Tunisian simple stitch and one a Tunisian purl stitch. So I want to say it's basically like moss stitch in knitting, or they also call it seed stitch, I think. We do one purl, one plain, one purl, one plain, but this is now in Tunisian crochet. So I did 4 rounds per color, with raglan increases, and yeah, I'm not exactly sure for now if it will have long sleeves or 3/4 sleeves, but I'll decide when I get there. I just keep trying it on and making it as I go. So for this project I use 5mm, a 5mm Tunisian crochet hook with a cord. Usually in Tunisian crochet you go up 1 or 2mm needle sizes than recommended, and this was recommended for a 3mm crochet hook, so I went to a 5mm, and I liked the fabric that I got from that. So that is my sweater. Right, anything else I wanted to say about that? No. My next whip is with some yarn that I have really no idea what it is. I did ask people before and to try and help me, but on screen it's a little bit difficult. It's difficult to guess on screen what this is. So I did some research. This is what it looks like. I did some research after somebody said to me that it looks like it's overspun because it does that, I don't know, pulling in thing. But anyway, so I've done some research, and it seems to me that this might be a banana silk yarn. I saw online that Walmart Africa is selling this type of yarn. I got this from a friend. I think it was 2 skeins. I'm not exactly sure. I must still weigh everything that I have and make a project page for it on Ravelry. But I decided to make a little table throw, or like a little tablecloth or something with it. So I'm using 6.5mm needles for this, and I'm just making a little square piece of fabric, or I don't know if it will be square, for a table, or like a little mat for your table. So it's just made with some garter stitch edge and some stocking stitch in the middle, and we'll see how far I get, if it will be rectangular or square. Doesn't really matter, it'll still look beautiful on a table. So we will see how far I will get with that. I must actually add a progress keeper on this, so that we can see how much progress I made on these projects since this recording. So I just added a little progress keeper on there. I'll add one to the Tunisian top as well. Right, and then my last whip is my ripple crochet blanket. This is actually my Scrappy Sunday project. Just fold it up a bit. Okay, so this is the blanket. I'm working on this side, and this is what I have so far. camera. Okay, so this is my ripple blanket. I'm just making this with double knit scraps of acrylic yarn that's lying around. I will say, however, if I ever again make a ripple blanket, I will definitely look into starting it with not with chain stitches and normal trebles. I would rather do a foundation treble row so that it can be more um, elastic, so that the cast on will be more have more elasticity, because this now pulls in. Now it seems like it's ripply. It's very tight. So that is one thing that I'll definitely change when I do this project again. Right, so this is my ripple blanket, and I'll also be adding a progress keeper here, so that we can see how much I've done when I show this again. I don't work on it every Sunday because I don't always have a piece of scrap or come across a piece of scrap yarn that I can add to this, but I do have the cream color of the Chromatic Brioche Cowl that I'll be adding into this next. Okay, so I've mentioned that it's double knit yarn, and I'm working with a 4mm crochet hook. I think I might add a border around it when I'm finished, but I want it to be a long blanket that you can lie under and pull up to your neck, not just a small lap blanket. So we still have quite a ways to go. Okay, so that is all of, not all of my whips, but all of my whips that I'm working on at present. I still have heaps and heaps of whips lying around, but yeah, we'll get to that when we get to that. Alright, so something that I would like to mention is that I just worked on the website from August to now, and it was quite a learning experience. I gave the website a new fresh look, updated our products, and I have very excitedly added some craft kits to the shop. So one of the things that we also added to the online shop is craft kits. So one of them is this yarn cake cozy. This comes in a kit where you get 3 balls of yarn to make 6 of these yarn cake cozies, which will mean 2 in each color of the 3 colors that you choose, and it comes with a printed pattern. So yeah, that is something that you can have a look at if you're interested. Something else that I'm still currently working on, sewing projects, and I'm almost finished with a Tunisian crochet project kit that will also come to the shop very soon. You can follow us on Instagram and Facebook, where you will also get announcements of when these kits go live, when they are finished and ready for purchase. Okay, let me just check my notes and see what else I need to say. Yes, okay, and then 2 more things is I'll be joining the Mosaic Mal 2022 that is hosted by Erika. I will link her details down below for you, and you can go check it out. The Mal is starting on the 11th of January, so there's still time for you to join in. You must just to join the Mal, you need to knit or crochet a mosaic project. There'll be different zooms and progress. I think there's dates where you post your progress for your projects. but I'm going to join in the fun of the process of the mail. I think I'll knit something, but I'm not exactly sure what yet. My friend of Independence Crochet is also joining. She actually sent me the link for the mail, and now both of us are joining. So if you would like to join this mail, please check out the link down below. I'll link it, and everything that I mentioned will be linked below, um, where you can find me and so forth, and Ravelry projects and all of those good stuff. So thank you very much for joining me. I'm not sure um, how often I'll podcast, but we will just see how it goes. And in the meantime, happy crafting. Bye.